Hi, Trina Wright here, and it is day 48 of 365 days of realizations. And today I want to talk about the power of awareness. And by that I mean like the power of self awareness, the power of being conscious, and how that can really, really impact on our expansion and on just the quality of life that we experience, the joy we feel, the attunement that we feel with our inner being, and how we can dance and play in the flow of all of that. And so I was thinking about how we often, I can look back and think about times in my life where it seemed like my life was sort of on autopilot. Like there was a lot of automation going on. And not just in terms of like the doing stuff, but also in terms of just like my reactivity, as if like there was so much momentum going in so many different areas that I didn't have a lot of spaciousness around, say, thoughts or reactions, or even just like how I was going to be or what I was going to do with something. Like if there was something that seemed to need my attention, I don't know that I gave it the attention that it wanted. So I had a really big realization just over the last 24 hours that I have so much more spaciousness. Like I have a lot of spaciousness in my life. I have a lot of spaciousness in myself, in my awareness, in my like even in my thoughts, there's just space between the thoughts. And it's interesting because we all live where we live, and we have a tendency to think that where we live is where everybody else lives. So I don't know how common it is to have this spaciousness, but I know how much I enjoy it. And I think that some of it came from being quieter with myself, meditating, just even having that presence, doing a lot of nature walking like I am today, where I can really let my vibration rise and just let myself come into attunement with who I really am, what Abraham is calling that calibration. And also choosing, deciding that I don't know, I no longer want to be reactive or even responsive to things that happen. I don't want to take cues from what's outside of me. I want to give cues to the world. I want to overwhelm my experience with how I want to feel, with the vibration that I want. And so that requires this different level of consciousness, of presence, of spaciousness around myself, my thoughts, and around like what I might call momentum. And by that, what I mean is all the things that I've experienced up to this point that are now dictating my life. Because I know it's often stated, and it may or may not be true, but that 95% of how we respond, even when we're being conscious about it a little bit, to the world around us is still coming from sort of automated programming that we might not have chosen, because a lot of it happened when we were a child, and it just has become sort of the way we do it. It's what we saw our parents do, it's what we saw in the world at large, it's how the world told us to behave or what to expect, and we just took it for granted. And so that is like, that in and of itself could take some consciousness to be able to deprogram from that and make a different choice. And because we've had so many years of it and it's so insidious, it does require our conscious attention. It does require that self awareness. And so, what I discovered just in this last 24 hours is that my young daughter, well, she's not young, she's 16. My 16-year-old daughter had an experience where something didn't quite go the way she was hoping. She was hoping that her cousin, my niece, could come down for a visit on March break, and it just looks like that's not going to be able to happen for a variety of different reasons, which of course was upsetting to her. And I noticed in myself that I watched my character, the Trina part of me, have a noticing that maybe someone else in the family, like my niece's dad, who then is my brother, or my mom, might have just given me the heads up and said, things aren't going to work out the way she was hoping, so she might need this or this. And so it was interesting. It was sort of like this automatic thing. And so I just watched it and I was with it, and I thought, so how would it go if I then called and said something about this or had this expectation? And it was such an interestingly strange thing, because I didn't think it would go so well. And not only that, I also realized that it was really based on an idea that she's not going to be okay, like that she needs support around this or she needs understanding. And we do that so much. Like, I believe myself that I don't need that. I self source, I attune to my inner being, I flow the power that creates worlds within me. I create everything. Everything is within me. I am everything. And I take responsibility for everything I create. So I'm not looking for anyone else to come and fix it when something doesn't go right, or when, I'm not going to, not only do I not expect someone to fix me, but I want to be able to be in a place where like, yep, I appreciated that. Yep, I appreciated that. Oh, that off thing. Yep, I appreciated that. Which doesn't mean I'm not ever going to have a reaction, that I'm not ever going to feel like some offness, but that even in the midst of feeling it, I don't have to drum it up. I don't have to make it worse. And, I have that as a lived experience, because I know when my husband transitioned, my first husband, it was really interesting to see other people struggling with how to be with me, and also overlaying what they thought was how I should respond and react. And so we have this built up in our culture that people are quote unquote needy. They need our support. They need our love. They need our help. When something's hard, that's what we need to do, be compassionate. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because there isn't, but I want to be so awake that in every moment I'm remembering that I am this epic being of infinite possibility, of infiniteness, this unending, limitless expression of the consciousness that is in this body. And I want to live into that. And so if I want to live into that, then it makes sense. And I'm not going to drum up drama. I'm not going to talk about those things that I don't want to talk about. I'm not going to look to other people to support me, because as soon as I do that, it does start to amplify that type of feeling, that feeling of vulnerability, that feeling of like something is missing in this moment. I need more support from outside of me. I need more love. I need more validation. I need someone to hold my hand and tell me it's going to be okay, when in actual fact, that's exactly what my inner being is designed for. And so as I raise my children, especially my two daughters who still live with me, I want them to feel that strength. I want them to know their own invincibility. I want them to know their indestructibility. I want them to know that it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what they miscreate, because that's really what it comes down to, a miscreation, not understanding exactly the power, not having their beliefs caught up with their desire. Nothing wrong with it. It just shows up and it wasn't exactly what we wanted. That's okay. And we don't need to amplify it and make it into a big deal. We can just say, all right, I see that. That's great. I own it. I love it. And now I'm going to settle with it and move with it. And when we do that, then we become the creators that we want to become, because we're not stuck in our past creations that potentially didn't go our way, that came from us learning. It's a learning process. And so I want to give her the opportunity to learn and not feel like she needs to amplify it or make it into a big deal, or drum up this sort of people feeling bad for her scenario, which seems to just be so common. And I think it has a little momentum that wants to take all of us to tell us that we need to do that we need to have that extra support. And I stand in this solid place of my own self where I just want to be like invincible. And I just want that feeling of invincibility, to know that like even at the moment of death, which we all or many of us fear, there's nothing that's going to shift then, because I am beyond that. I am not this body. And so the ending of it will not mean the ending of me. And to be able to stand in that feeling of invincibility and knowing my creatorship, that's just everything. That's the whole point for me of being here in this experience. And if I could help her get to a taste of that when she's so young, that just seems like epic. So that was my little reflection. I think having that awareness to see the spaciousness, like tell yourself, I was saying to my partner, Frank, this morning, there is always that spaciousness. It's always available, except maybe in the 0.000 some percentage of time where it is like a life and death moment where, your child's going to run in front of a car and you need to respond immediately, or some horrible thing is happening. Someone's like literally bleeding, but most of us make it through an entire lifetime and not have that. So in essence, we pretty much always can take space. We can always have space around before we have a reaction or even a response. And sometimes the space in and of itself, when we step away and just take that space, recalibrate, realign, reattune, come back into ourselves, and then whatever we were going to do is not relevant anymore, just because we gave ourselves the space. And the more we give ourselves the space, guess what? The more space becomes available, because that's what happened for me. I don't feel like there was a definitive time that I could say, oh, on, January 18th, 2015 or something, it changed. It's not like that. It's more been an incremental thing, where as I've just been more and more self-aware, self-present, more conscious and awake with myself, and more like just relentlessly looking and saying, how can this be better? How can this be better? How can I feel better? How can I be more attuned? As I've done that, then I realize the spaciousness that's opened, because it isn't just a react or don't. It isn't just like a react or stuff everything down. It's not like those are the only two possibilities. And when you open to the vastness of who you are, then possibilities that you couldn't think of when you were in that reactive state start to come up. Even in the responsive state, it's still like that idea that something's happened and I need to respond to it. Says who? I mean, that's not even true that we need to respond to it. I think there's lots and lots of times where we can be served by just being quiet, by just not even saying anything and just letting it sit with us and with the other person for longer. So that's my reflection for the day. That was my realization with myself. This is how I roll. This is how I live my life. If you are enjoying these videos, watching them, taking anything from them, then I invite you to subscribe to my channel and see what I'll offer tomorrow, because it's just a never ending time. And I also invite you to just tune into your own self and realize that you also are realizing something new every single day. If you want to see it that way, if you want to make that an intention part of your life, then it will be. So have fun in this game that we're playing, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.